Well, hello and welcome. Now, before we get our hands dirty and start making mind maps and solving problems, let's discuss the overall problem solving decision making approach that we're going to use in this course. Now, there are a multitude of problem solving tools, models, and systems available to you, and they all have their advantages and disadvantages depending on the situation you find yourself in. But regardless of which models we use, there are essentially 5 fundamentals involved in problem solving. 1, you need to define the problem correctly. Number 2, you need to understand the environment the problem exists in. 3, you need to generate potential solutions. 4, you need to consider the risks that may come along with those solutions. And 5, ultimately, you need to make a decision about what to do. In this video, we're going to discuss point 1, defining your problem. Now, when you decide to solve a problem, the key thing to keep in mind is not to jump immediately into trying to generate solutions. As critical as a solution may be, it really is worth taking some time to understand and define the issue, particularly if you're working in a team environment and the problem impacts other people as well as yourself. I know that you or others around you may be impatient to solve the problem, and there probably will be some sort of time pressure on you to do so. But, and I know this is going to sound patronizing, if you don't understand the problem, then you're never going to be able to solve it. Without a proper analysis, you may end up only addressing symptoms of a greater underlying issue, or making some assumptions and not understanding your problem at all. So if you or members of your team find yourself wanting to jump ahead to solve a significant problem as soon as it appears, then please have the discipline to step back, take a deep breath, and investigate exactly what your problem is and why it's happening. Now, in order to help us do that in this course, we're going to adapt a tool from the Japanese car manufacturer Toyota. Toyota have added a huge amount to the business process world, such as the invention of the just-in-time supply chain management system, or their problem-solving mantra known as Kaizen, which focuses on small, consistent improvements in the way we do things. A gentleman called Taishi Ono, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, was the industrial engineer who is widely credited with establishing the massively influential Toyota production system. The problem identification model that we're going to use in this course was designed by Taishi Ono himself, and it's called the 5 Whys method. And this is an approach that seeks to peel away layers of information from an issue until finally the underlying problem is revealed. In the rest of this video, I'm going to use mind maps and the 5 Whys method to work through a number of example problems, to illustrate the method and to try to arrive at the root causes of those problems. Now, in this video, there's no need for you to work along with me as I build these mind maps. You'll be getting your hands dirty and using the 5 Whys method in the very next lesson. So, what is the 5 Whys approach? Well, 5 Whys is designed to help you understand the various elements that comprise your problem, or to be more formal, to understand the cause and effect relationships involved in the issue that you're experiencing. The goal is for you to ultimately end up with an understanding of the root causes of your problem by repeatedly using questions that begin with the word why, a technique that parents of young children will be intimately familiar with. Now, of course, a problem may have a number of root causes. So sometimes your investigation using the 5 Whys method can split into multiple branches of investigation, which is something you're going to see a little later in this lesson. And that's one reason why this technique lends itself so well to mind mapping. Also, one thing to keep in mind is that the 5 Whys method is a model which is loosely applied, by which I mean there are no rigidly defined guidelines or limits on how much time or effort you should apply when you use this technique. You, as the practitioner, have a lot of autonomy about how you apply the model, and I'll give you some examples of this a little later on. And even though this approach is called the 5 Whys, there can actually be a different number of why-based questions that you need to ask to reveal the root cause or causes of your problem. And finally, before we get into some examples, you don't just necessarily run through the 5 whys process once. Keep in mind that at times it can be useful to go through this process several times with different people or different groups of people to gain a better, more rounded understanding of your problem. And this is particularly true if you work in a large organization with multiple departments, where different departments see different aspects of an issue without them necessarily seeing the entire overall situation. So that's enough talking. Let's look at a very simple application of the 5 whys model given to us by Taishi Ono himself. Our problem is that a production robot has stopped working. Why did the robot stop? Well, the circuit has overloaded, causing a fuse to blow. Well, why is the circuit overloaded? Well, there was insufficient lubrication on the bearings, so they seized. Why was there insufficient lubrication on the bearings? Well, the oil pump on the robot is not circulating sufficient oil. Why is the pump not circulating sufficient oil? Well, the pump intake is clogged with metal shavings. Why is the intake clogged with metal shavings? Because there's no filter on the pump. In this pretty classic example, we stop here and we consider that the lack of a filter on the pump is the root cause of our problem. However, in order to make sure that this is correct and we're not just seeing a symptom of a larger problem, we need to make a judgment call and ask one more question. Why did the process fail? Or in this case, why did the filter replacement process fail? Why is there no filter on this pump? And depending on the answer to that question, we may choose to stop our 5 whys exercise at this point and consider the lack of the filter to be the root problem, or we may continue asking why questions to continue to analyze the issue. Now, when I spoke earlier about you having autonomy and having to make judgment calls, this is exactly what I mean. You have to use your judgment to decide if you've arrived at the root cause of the problem at hand or just a symptom of the root cause. And don't worry if this is a little confusing right now. Hopefully it should become clearer as we continue to work. So let's discuss why we need the question, why did the process fail? In our example, we've arrived at a possible root cause of the lack of a filter on the pump. And if there are plenty of filters in stock in our hypothetical factory, and we have a sufficient budget to buy the filters we need when we need them, and those filters get delivered exactly when we need them, then yes, we can consider that the lack of filter on the robot is the root cause of our problem. However, what if we find out that there's a shortage of filters at our supplier, and we ran out without realizing it, or perhaps that our delivery of filters was lost in the mail, in which case those may be our underlying problems to solve, or indeed they may be symptoms of another problem. So by using the question, why did the process fail, we help establish if the answer to the why question that we've arrived at is our underlying problem, or if it's merely a symptom of a larger issue and we need to continue our 5 whys analysis. Now, in the real world, you are likely to have more than one underlying cause of any particular issue. So let's look at this scenario. We've asked the question, why did the process fail? And we've arrived at 2 conclusions. One is that we have no filters. So we once again ask the why question, and we discover that we've changed suppliers, and we cannot get our new supply of filters for 2 more days. When we ask the question, why did the process fail? We also got an answer that the service engineer did not think this issue would arise as quickly as it did, and as such did not inform his line manager of a potential issue relating to the lack of a new filter. Perhaps our service engineer was trained to only escalate items he thought would become a problem. In which case we have both a supplier issue that hopefully will be solved 2 days from now, and we have a possible process issue that we need to change to ensure that somebody's subjective opinion will no longer hide potential problems. Now, as you can see, that scenario is messier, and it feels more clumsy to navigate than the simple scenario earlier that we discussed. However, this multiple cause scenario is more like the ones you will see in real life when you use this problem-solving model. So as you can see, ultimately, it's going to be your judgment that will determine the depth that you investigate issues to and where you draw the line about what your root problem is and how you can solve it. Now, there will also be times where you won't have the luxury of being able to solve the underlying problem. So you may be forced to address or help to solve a symptom of that problem. Again, this is going to be a judgment call that you're going to have to make. For example, in our scenario, if we had no budget to buy filters, then we have to come up with some solution to possibly recycle filters or find used second-hand filters to meet our needs, because it's unlikely that our team's going to be able to solve the company's financing issues. Now, we've discussed you have a lot of autonomy to make decisions when you're using the 5 whys model. However, there is one golden rule to use, and that is to make sure that the correct stakeholders are involved in your 5 whys analysis. If you can make sure that the right people are in the room and that they have an interest in solving the issue, then no matter how your 5 whys analysis evolves, it should add value and help you address your problem. Without the right people in the room, you could end up making assumptions about what the problem is. You may not get sufficient feedback in the first place. So even if you need to run through this process several times with different people or different groups of people, then it's worth doing that till you feel that you have the information you need to solve your problem. Okay, that was a quick, quite high-level guided overview of the 5 whys process in action. In the next lesson, you're going to perform your own 5 whys analysis. So please, meet me in the next lesson when you're ready to continue. And for now, as always, thanks very much for your time.